Hello Soul Tribe, this is Julie from Soul Bridge Holistics, and I'm doing a video series right now. This is part 3 of a 3-part series called Honoring Yourself. And I'm going to talk about protecting yourself and choosing soul-aligned relationships. If you've noted from my previous videos that I always talk about your life path. Here's my philosophy. We are all sheep being herded off a cliff, slowly but surely, and we're all going off the same cliff. It is inevitable. So if death and dying makes you uncomfortable, get over it, because we're all headed that way. However, how fast you speed toward that cliff makes all the difference between whether you have a beautiful life or you just live fast, die young, and leave a beautiful corpse. I'm all for being beautiful and happy and living a long life and treading along every flower-filled path that I can along my way and smelling the flowers, and then, poof, I disappear. I like you, don't want to think about what that cliff feels like, but I assure you from others who have been there that it happens very quick, and then suddenly you find yourself in a life review, and suddenly you look back and go, I had a precious human body with so much potential. There was so much more that I could have done. And you don't want to be that old lady in the rocking chair who sits there one day going, I would have, I coulda, I shoulda. You don't want to be that person. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. You want to be the person who says, I did the things that I wanted to do. I tried as hard as I could. I tried to live my fullest, and I tried to live up to my potential. And again, if you don't know what your potential is, go find an ephemeris and look up your date of birth and the time that you were born, and find your life path in the greatest imaginable detail, where every planet that it mentions will tell you what the gifts are that you were given so that you can know yourself. The Bible likes to say, know thyself, right? The best gift that you can give to yourself is to know yourself. And I will quote all of the world religions freely because I'm not really connected to any of them, but I understand all of them, and they're all pieces of the same pie, and they're all just pieces of advice for helping you to live a beautiful life. So I'm more spiritual. I tend to take a fuller life view where it sort of encapsulates the beauty of everybody and the philosophy of everybody and the philosophy of happiness, that you should be protecting yourself and choosing soul-aligned relationships. So that is where I will continue. So this episode will teach empowerment and action. So one key principle will be you're allowed to walk away even if you love them. Absorb that for a minute. You're allowed to walk away even if you love them. I'd like to say with my previous ex-husband, I want to separate now while we're still friends, because I could see that we're going in different directions. He had religious training that kicked in, and as soon as he got married, it was a stereotype. We have to go to this church, you have to be on my arm, you are my prize, you are my woman, you are my property. And I went, I'm not your prize, and I'm certainly not going to be arm candy, and I am not going to be anyone's property. I am my own person. I have free will. I will walk a free path. You will not tell me where I can go or what I can do. And I put my foot down, and as you can imagine, we were raised differently. And so there was what I consider to be a cultural and spiritual clash, because my personal philosophy is very matriarchal, very Native American, and very much heart-based and truth-seeking and down-to-earth, and also very individualistic and independent. And his philosophy was that women are to be seen and not heard. They belong in the kitchen, the old barefoot and pregnant thing, and there's no way we're going to see eye to eye. So you're allowed to walk away even if you love them. The minute you find out that that person can't walk on your path with you, that's okay. I mean, you can maintain communication, but definitely try and get your own space. Time to move out. You don't need permission to have boundaries. The person says, I don't agree that you do that. So This church person that I was married to, he took me to what was quote unquote a luau. And when I got there, I found it was in a church and I was uncomfortable. And I said, "Oh, I see that it's at a church." And he goes, "It's okay, it's just a luau." Then we sat down for the entertainment. And after about 6 church songs, I said, "I'm uncomfortable. This was supposed to be a luau." And he said, "Well, they're going to get to the Hawaiian music shortly." And I said, I'm not comfortable here." And I stood up and he grabbed my hand tightly and pulled me down and said, "You're embarrassing me. Sit down." And I said, "I don't really care if I'm embarrassing you. I'm not comfortable here." So again, the key was you don't need permission to have boundaries. I stated, "I'm not comfortable here. I have an emotional boundary that he has broken. I feel like it's a trust issue. He's not keeping his word with me." And out I went. I started walking down the road. I'm going home. That's it. I'm done here. Silence and distance are answers. If that is your communication with this other person, that they're distancing themselves or they're giving you the silent treatment, that's their answers, really? So if they're not willing to communicate with you, then this is not a soul-aligned relationship. Silence is not going to cut it. If they're used to silence, that's the way they lived before, then they need to live on their own because that's what they're used to. Healthy partners do not make you smaller. That's going to be an important one to consider because healthy partners help you to grow bigger. How can I help you feel better about yourself? It doesn't mean they're throwing you cash or financing your education. But it does mean they support that you want to go back to school and be a nurse, or it's okay that you want to start learning to grow strawberries and you're putting crops in the backyard. But if you're taking up too much of it and he's uncomfortable, it's like, okay, well, let's negotiate how many crops you're actually going to be putting in here because I live here too, right? We don't want to overdo it. Maybe 1 chicken is great and 5 chickens are great, but when you got 2,000 chickens and put in a whole bunch of cages, maybe that's over his comfort zone. You are always negotiating, but that person should not be belittling you. If you had a real job, you wouldn't have to have chickens. Or, some kind of little pot shots. If you find they're taking pot shots at you and they're making you feel smaller, that's a red flag right there. You don't owe one more try to someone who harms your peace. If a person hits the car door, hits the walls, kicks things, shows you that they have anger management issues, that's a red flag. And you don't need them to keep apologizing like, "Oh, I'll stop doing that," or, "Oh, if you only give me this, I'll stop doing that." That is a red flag. That kind of behavior does escalate. And it goes from punching, the door or the car window to hitting you and saying, "I didn't mean to do that," or, breaking your stuff or invading your privacy or whatever. The person doesn't have healthy boundaries. So someone who's harming your peace, that's a red flag for you. And again, get those boxes into storage. Start looking for an apartment so that you can get out and get yourself some peace. Practical steps. Keep your support network alive. So I told you those victims of domestic violence or those who have been physically, against their will, used by someone. I tell you always, do not stay quiet. Do not stay quiet. Reach out for help. Talk to people. It doesn't have to be a counselor or a therapist. It can be anybody. Tell the neighbors. If you have church friends, tell your church, your synagogue, whatever you belong to. Tell people. In this case, it's not just gossiping. You're trying not to isolate yourself, and do not isolate yourself. Because trying to be embarrassed and keep it to yourself, if you don't trust your red flags, you'll get more red flags and it will begin to escalate. If you find that negotiating with a person is not working, if they're not listening to you, if they don't have your best interest in mind, if they're not helping you grow, then this is not a relationship that's rooted in soil that will actually grow. So the old saying about don't build your house on sand, it's worth listening to. Journal your feelings after interactions. And you may feel that your stuff is being looked at, or maybe you don't have privacy. So email it to yourself. Start a journal that you keep in an email folder. Or email it to somebody else and tell them to hang on to those notes. Ask yourself, do I like who I become around them? Do I like who I become around them? So somebody who's used to chasing negativity, somebody who's used to coldness or used to brokenness, it's really bad to get into a relationship with someone that you think you're going to fix. Like, oh, they were just so alone before and I can fix that. Maybe they were alone for a reason. Maybe they can't handle interaction with other people. Maybe you can't fix that. Maybe you find out that it's more than you bargained for. You know what? This isn't about your pride. This is about your safety. This isn't about just trying to make it work. This is about being the best that you can be. You want to be the person who's smelling the flowers and going happily down your green path. Because like I said, we're all going off that cliff, but you want to make it a joyous ride, and you want it to be something that you'll be proud of and leave a legacy and say, you know, these are the beautiful things that I've seen, the people I touched, the impact I've made. And if you're being prevented from doing your life path, this is not a relationship for you. Rebuild your self-connection through grounding, nature, meditation, and breath work. Exactly what I said before. If you don't have those basics, go back to my first videos, because I talk about grounding and I talk about what it takes to find your soul path and who you are as an individual. And I will continue to be creating more videos about that, because meditation, breath work, earthing, getting yourself into the soil, into gardening, into nature, into connection to universal energy and consciousness, that's what it means to be on planet Earth. That's what you are. You are made of these molecules. You are made of the dirt and the soil and the water and the stuff around you. You are part of this. You are part of the oxygen. You are part of these molecules. This is your planet. It's made for you. You're made of it. Claim that for yourself, because the more you feel involved in being on your planet, the easier it will be for you to ground yourself and think clearly and make solid decisions. Reparent your inner child. Safe love does not hurt. If you didn't have parents that you could trust, if you did not have a mother or father around you, or at least I had a mother, but she was emotionally negative and self-soothing her own self with her own wounds and her own issues. If you feel like you had to raise yourself, if you feel like you have to raise yourself now, be your own best friend and be your own best parent. And look at yourself like a child and go, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to put a band-aid on this and walk away. It's okay. Honor yourself. Honor yourself. Honoring yourself is not about being strong all the time. It's not about being perfect. It's not about trying to impress people. And it's not about maintaining stability at the expense of the neighbors or other people's opinions. It doesn't matter how often you change. It doesn't matter if your relationship didn't work. It's about refusing to trade your peace. Refusing to trade your peace for someone else's chaos. It's about refusing to trade your peace for someone else's chaos. So, if you have to ask yourself what is the most important thing about honoring yourself, it's about maintaining your own sense of peace, isn't it? I want to wake up every morning and like who I am. I want to look in the mirror at myself and say, I love my life. I've tried as hard as I can. I like being who I am. I like the things that I do. So, ask yourself, do I like who I am? That's going to be a really big one. Do I like who I am? And of course, if you're around another person, do I like who I am when I'm around them? So what you're ultimately teaching yourself is love yourself enough to choose environments where you stay whole. I'm going to be working with you on that, showing you hobbies that are positive, ways that I live my life that nourish me. And if my influence helps you to become a better, more grounded, happier person, then that's great. That is the goal of Soulbridge Holistics, and it is my goal to help you connect with and align with your soul tribe of these other well-aligned, centered individuals who are emotionally and spiritually responsible. Love yourself enough to walk away from anything that pulls you out of your alignment. I'm going to say this again. Love yourself enough to walk away from anything that pulls you out of your alignment. If you need to get yourself recentered, practice by grounding yourself, focusing on your breath, and writing down 3 goals for yourself. What are the next 3 things that I want to do for myself? And if that means start throwing stuff away and packing some boxes and looking for storage, then that's what you got to do. If it means you can pack stuff up and leave them with a relative and start clearing things out, that's what you got to do. Okay, so you decide if you're going to move out slowly or move out quickly. But if you need to shift, if you need to move, if you need to give yourself safety and your own sense of alignment to return your own integrity and your own sense of purpose and well-being, then that's what you need to do for you. Honoring yourself is about staying in alignment with your own life path. I can't say it enough times. All right? So much love from Soulbridge Holistics, and I'm not charging for this. Everything I say is my opinion. It's for educational and entertainment purposes only. However, since you just saved $75, click the link below and buy me a coffee. And share this video if there's someone else that you think that this can help support. Like my video so that I will grow in that algorithm on YouTube, and join and click the bell so you can get notifications on other videos that I make. These videos are for you, and more people like us need to bond together to make a more positive life, a more holistic way to live, and a more integrated, positive, purposeful living experience. Stay luminous, and I'll see you again.